There is one moment in every life that almost no one notices. It does not come with a loud sound. It does not feel like a big event. It comes quietly, while you are busy living your normal day. And in that small moment, your mind agrees to something that is not true. From that second, your reality slowly changes without asking for your permission. What if that moment has already happened to you? Not because you are weak, not because someone controlled you, but because the human mind is built to accept the picture it sees again and again. The strange part is that your eyes are not the first thing creating your reality. Your mind is. And if the mind accepts a false picture long enough, it starts building a life around it. That false picture becomes your comfort zone. Your fears become your identity. Your limits become your truth. Most people never stop to ask one simple question. What if the voice inside my head is not really mine? That question sounds small, but it changes everything. Scientists have shown that the brain filters almost everything happening around us. Every second, millions of pieces of information try to enter your awareness, but only a tiny part reaches your conscious mind. The rest is quietly removed. Your brain decides what deserves your attention before you even know it exists. Now imagine someone learning how to influence those filters. Imagine your attention being guided without you realizing it. Would you still call your choices completely free? This is where the quantum illusion begins. Many people think the illusion is something outside them. A secret machine, a hidden group, a strange force controlling the world. But the real illusion starts much closer than that. It starts inside your own thinking. Every belief you repeat becomes stronger. Every fear you feed grows deeper. Every memory you replay changes slightly each time until you can no longer tell whether you remember the event or only the story you created after it. Think about the last time you looked at yourself and said, "This is just who I am." Where did that sentence come from? Did you discover it yourself? Or did you slowly collect it from parents, teachers, friends, strangers, failures, social media, and thousands of invisible moments that trained your mind without asking for your permission? Here's the strange part. Quantum physics suggests that reality behaves differently when it is observed. People often misunderstand this idea, turning it into magical claims, but it does remind us of something powerful. Observation matters. The way you focus your attention changes how you experience the world. Your expectations shape your decisions. Your decisions shape your future. Before reality changes around you, something usually changes inside you first. That means the greatest illusion is not that reality is fake. The greatest illusion is believing your current reality is the only one possible. The moment you accept that lie, your mind stops searching. It stops questioning. It stops creating. And when that happens, the invisible walls around you become stronger every single day. But something unusual is happening right now. If these words are making you feel slightly uncomfortable, if a small part of you feels like it has heard this before, if you cannot explain why you keep listening instead of leaving, then your mind may already be noticing a crack in the illusion. Most people turn away the second they see that crack. Because if the illusion breaks, everything they believed about themselves may have to change. And what waits on the other side is far more shocking than anyone expects. The strange thing about an illusion is that it never tells you it is an illusion. It feels normal. It feels safe. That is why millions of people wake up every morning, follow the same thoughts, feel the same emotions, and go to sleep believing they made free choices. But if you could watch your own mind from outside for just one day, you might notice something surprising. Your thoughts often arrive before you choose them. A memory appears. Then a feeling follows. Then your body reacts. Only after that do you tell yourself, "I decided this." But did you? Imagine standing in front of two doors. One door leads to the life you already know. The other leads somewhere completely unknown. Most people think they choose the familiar door because it is the smarter choice. In reality, the brain is trying to protect itself from uncertainty. It prefers what is familiar, even if familiar means pain. The mind would rather repeat an old struggle than face a new possibility. This is how the quantum illusion quietly grows stronger. It does not trap your body first. It traps your expectations. Once you expect failure, your attention starts looking for proof that failure is coming. You notice every mistake, every delay, every rejection. Your brain ignores the opportunities standing beside them because they do not match the story it already believes. Without knowing it, You begin creating evidence for the life you fear. Now ask yourself something. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt that something was wrong, even though nobody had spoken? Or thought about someone just before they called you? Many people ignore these moments because they cannot explain them. Others give them magical meanings. The truth may be simpler. Your brain is constantly reading patterns that never reach your conscious awareness. Tiny details, small changes, hidden signals, they all shape your feelings before your logical mind catches up. Sometimes what feels like a mystery is your deeper awareness working faster than your conscious thinking. But here is where everything becomes even more interesting. If your subconscious can notice patterns that your conscious mind cannot, then what else has it been noticing all these years? How many beliefs were planted there without your permission? How many fears were accepted simply because they were repeated enough times? Every advertisement, every negative label, every moment someone said, "You can't." Every time you believed you were not enough. None of these disappeared. They settled quietly below the surface, waiting for the right moment to guide your decisions. And because they stayed hidden, they became powerful. That is why changing your life is never only about changing your actions. It begins by discovering the invisible program running underneath them. The people who seem impossible to stop often share one thing in common. They learned to question the first voice inside their minds. When fear whispered, "Stay where you are," they asked, "Who taught me that?" When doubt said, "You will fail," they asked, "Is this a fact or just an old recording?" That simple pause created something rare. Space. And inside that space, a completely different future became possible. But there is one layer of this illusion that almost nobody talks about. It is so deeply connected to your identity that once you see it, you may never look at your own thoughts the same way again. Most people think they are searching for truth. But if you watch carefully, you will notice something different. Most people are searching for confirmation. They collect ideas that match what they already believe. They ignore anything that challenges their view. It feels comfortable because the brain loves certainty. It wants to close every question as quickly as possible. The moment it says, "I already know," curiosity disappears. And when curiosity disappears, growth quietly stops. This is one of the deepest parts of the quantum illusion. It does not force you to believe a lie. It simply makes you stop asking better questions. Imagine wearing invisible glasses since the day you were born. You never take them off. You never even know they are there. Every color you see, every face you recognize, every decision you make passes through those glasses first. One day someone tells you, "The world looks different without them." Would you believe them? Probably not. Because to you, your version of reality feels completely real. Your beliefs work the same way. They become invisible because you have carried them for so long. Now think about a child. A child is told, "You are not smart enough." At first, those words mean nothing. But after hearing them again and again, the child starts acting as if they are true. Years later, that same person avoids big opportunities, stays silent when they have good ideas, and accepts less than they deserve. They believe they are making logical decisions. In reality, they are protecting a belief they never chose. This is how an illusion survives. Not through force, through repetition. The brain treats repeated information as familiar, and familiar information often feels true, even when it is not. That is why the words you hear every day matter. The thoughts you repeat matter even more. Every repeated sentence becomes another line of code inside your subconscious. Now imagine changing that code. Not overnight. Not by pretending everything is perfect, but by becoming aware of each thought before it becomes a belief. That awareness changes everything. The moment you catch a limiting thought before you accept it, the illusion loses a little of its power. It is like finding a hidden string in a puppet show. The puppet may still move, but now you know something else is involved. Once you see the string, you can never fully believe the performance again. This is why some people seem to transform, while others stay stuck for years. The difference is not intelligence. It is awareness. One person reacts automatically. The other notices the reaction before following it. That tiny gap changes the direction of an entire life. But there is one question that almost nobody dares to ask. If your beliefs can be programmed, if your attention can be guided, if your identity can slowly be built from thoughts you never questioned, then who were you? before the illusion introduced you to yourself? And the answer to that question may be the one thing your mind has been trying to hide from you all along. Have you ever noticed that your strongest reactions appear before your logical mind has time to think? Someone says one sentence. Your heart beats faster. Your muscles become tense. Your mood changes. Only a few seconds later does your mind begin creating reasons for why you reacted. It feels like your thoughts caused your emotions. But many times, the opposite happens. Your body reacts first. Then your mind builds a story to explain it. This is where the illusion becomes almost invisible. Because once the story is created, it feels real. You stop questioning it. You defend it. You even shape your future around it. Imagine carrying an old key in your pocket your entire life. Every locked door you find, you try the same key. When it fails, you decide the door was never meant to open. You never think that perhaps the problem is not the door. It is the key. Most people do the same thing with their minds. They use old beliefs to solve new situations. An old fear. An old disappointment. An old label. Each one becomes the only key they know how to use. Then they wonder why every opportunity seems locked. The strange part is that reality often responds to what you expect more than what you hope for. If you walk into every challenge expecting rejection, your posture changes. Your voice changes. Your decisions become smaller. People respond to that version of you. Later, you tell yourself, I knew this would happen. But was it destiny? Or was it the quiet influence of an expectation you never questioned? This does not mean your thoughts magically control the universe. Life is far more complex than that. But your expectations influence what you notice, how you act, and how you respond. Those choices can change the path your life takes, often in ways that feel almost invisible while they are happening. That is why awareness is so powerful. Not because it gives you supernatural control, because it gives you back a choice. The moment you become aware of the pattern, you are no longer trapped inside it. And then something unexpected begins. You start noticing things that were always there. A chance you ignored. A person who believed in you. An idea you dismissed too quickly. A different path that your mind filtered out because it did not match the old story. It almost feels as if reality itself has changed. But maybe you are finally seeing more of it. This is why many people describe an awakening. It is not always a flash of light or a mystical experience. Sometimes it is simply the quiet moment when you realize, I don't have to believe every thought that enters my mind. That single realization is enough to shake the foundation of the quantum illusion. Because an illusion survives only while it remains unseen. The moment you recognize it, it has already begun to lose its grip. But there is still one final layer. The layer that explains why some people break free from these mental patterns, while others keep rebuilding the same invisible prison, even after they know it exists. For a long time, people believed the mind was only a machine that reacted to the world. Now we understand something more. The mind does not only react, it also predicts. Every second, it compares the present with memories from the past. Before your eyes fully understand what they are seeing, your brain is already guessing what will happen next. Most of the time, those guesses are useful. They help you move quickly through life. But sometimes, those predictions become invisible walls. If your past taught you that trust leads to pain, your mind predicts disappointment before anyone has a chance to prove otherwise. If your past taught you that success belongs to other people, your mind predicts failure before you even begin. The prediction feels like reality, yet it is only a possibility your brain has learned to expect. This is why two people can walk through the same event and leave with completely different stories. One sees a closed door. The other notices an open window. One remembers the criticism. The other remembers the lesson. The event was the same. The inner filter was different. And that filter quietly shapes the future. This is the point where many people think they need more motivation. But motivation fades. Awareness lasts longer. When you become aware of your inner predictions, something powerful happens. You stop treating every thought like an order. You begin treating thoughts like visitors. Some visitors bring useful advice. Others bring old fears wearing new clothes. You no longer have to invite every visitor inside. You can simply watch them arrive and let them leave. That small change creates a freedom most people never experience. Because once you stop fighting every negative thought, it loses much of its power. It is no longer the driver. It becomes only a passing voice. And in the quiet that follows, another voice slowly becomes clear. It is softer, calmer. It does not shout. It does not threaten. It simply asks, what if you are much more than the story you keep repeating? That question cannot be answered in a single day. It unfolds little by little. Each time you choose courage over old fear. Each time you stay present instead of living inside yesterday. Each time you question a belief that once felt permanent. Without noticing it, you begin creating a different version of yourself. Not a fake version. Not a perfect version. A more conscious version. Someone who understands that the greatest power is not controlling reality. It is learning not to be controlled by every thought about reality. And then one final realization appears. The quantum illusion was never your enemy. It was a mirror. It showed you every belief you accepted without question. The moment you started questioning those beliefs, the mirror stopped controlling what you saw. But there is still one final step. The step where understanding becomes transformation. And once that step is taken, there is no returning to the person you used to be. Knowing about the illusion is not the same as escaping it. That is the mistake almost everyone makes. They read a book. They watch a video. They learn new ideas. For a few hours, they feel different. Then the next morning, they wake up as the same person. Not because the knowledge was false. Because information alone does not rewrite old patterns. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. You could read every page ever written about balance. You could memorize every rule. But until your body experiences it again and again, nothing truly changes. Your mind works the same way. Old thought patterns become strong because they have been repeated thousands of times. They are like paths through a forest. The more often you walk the same path, the easier it becomes to follow. Creating a new path feels difficult at first because almost nobody has walked there before. This is why awareness must become a habit, not a single moment. A daily practice. Each time fear appears, you notice it instead of obeying it. Each time doubt speaks, you listen without accepting every word as truth. Each time your old story tries to pull you back, you ask one simple question. Is this happening now? Or is my past trying to control my present? That question interrupts the pattern. And every interruption weakens the illusion. Little by little, your attention begins to move differently. You stop feeding thoughts that only drain your energy. You become more careful about what you watch, what you listen to, and who shapes your thinking. Not because the world is your enemy, but because your attention is one of your most valuable resources. Wherever it goes, your habits usually follow. This is also where many people misunderstand the word frequency. They imagine it as something mysterious. But in everyday life, your mental and emotional state influences how you behave. Calm people often notice solutions that anxious people overlook. Hopeful people are more likely to take chances that fearful people avoid. The change is not magic. It is the result of seeing and responding differently. That shift may look small from the outside, but over months and years, it can completely change the direction of a life. Now imagine thousands of tiny choices changing one after another. One conversation, one decision, one opportunity, one new habit. None of them feels dramatic by itself. Yet together, they create a future that once seemed impossible. And then one day, you look back and realize something surprising. The prison was never locked. The door had been open for a long time. You simply believed it was closed. That belief was the strongest part of the quantum illusion. But even after realizing this, one mystery still remains. If your mind can create invisible limits, can it also become the tool that helps you discover possibilities you have never imagined? The answer to that question changes everything that comes next. The choice you make after this moment will never be perfect. Some days you will notice old fears returning. Some days your mind will try to convince you that nothing has changed. That is normal. The brain protects familiar patterns because they once helped you survive. It does not always know the difference between what is familiar and what is truly good for you. This is why lasting change is quiet. It rarely happens in one dramatic moment. It happens in hundreds of small decisions that almost nobody else can see. You pause before reacting. You question an old belief. You become more careful with where your attention goes. You return to the present instead of replaying the past. Each choice is small. Together, they become powerful. Months later, someone may ask, "What changed about you?" You may struggle to answer. Because the biggest changes are often invisible. You simply stopped giving your energy to thoughts that never deserved it. You stopped building your identity around fear. You stopped waiting for the perfect moment to become the person you already had the ability to become. And that is when something unexpected happens. The world begins responding to a different version of you. Not because the universe suddenly decided to reward you, but because your actions, your attention, and your decisions are no longer being guided by the same invisible limits. The opportunities that once seemed impossible become visible. The conversations you once avoided become easier. The risks that once felt terrifying become manageable. Step by step, your life begins moving in a new direction. Looking back, you realize something that feels almost impossible to believe. The quantum illusion was never a prison built around your mind. It was a story your mind kept repeating until it felt permanent. The moment you started questioning that story, its power began to fade. This does not mean every challenge will disappear. Life will still test you. There will still be loss. There will still be uncertainty. But now you know something you did not know before. You are not every thought that enters your mind. You are the one who decides which thoughts deserve to stay. That single truth is more powerful than most people ever discover. So before you leave this moment, ask yourself one final question. If the limits I believed were never completely fixed, what else might be possible? Do not rush to answer. Carry that question into tomorrow. Carry it into your next decision. Because the future is shaped not only by what you do, but by what you believe is possible before you do it. Maybe this video did not change your reality. Maybe it changed the way you look at it. And sometimes, that is where every real transformation begins. One day, without any warning, you may notice something that cannot be explained with words. The same world is still around you. The same streets. The same people. The same daily routine. But you are no longer looking at them with the same mind. That is when the final part of the journey begins. Not because reality suddenly changes, but because you finally stop fighting yourself. For years, your attention was pulled in every direction. Fear wanted one thing. Hope wanted another. Old memories argued with new dreams. Your mind was full of noise. And in all that noise, you forgot to listen to the one thing that had always been quietly present. Your awareness. Awareness does not force. It observes. It notices a thought without becoming the thought. It feels an emotion without believing it will last forever. It accepts uncertainty without rushing to fill every empty space with fear. This is where real freedom starts. Not when every problem disappears, but when problems no longer decide who you are. Think about the ocean. The surface is always moving. Waves rise. Storms appear. The wind changes direction. But deep below the surface, the water remains calm. Your mind is like the surface. Your awareness is like the depth. Most people spend their whole lives trying to control every wave. Very few learn how to reach the deeper water. Once they do, the storms lose their power to control them. This is why the illusion finally breaks. Not because someone reveals a secret hidden from the world, because you discover something hidden inside yourself. You were never only your fears. You were never only your past. You were never only the labels placed on you by other people. Those were experiences, not your identity. The moment you truly understand that, a quiet confidence begins to grow. You stop needing constant approval. You stop chasing every distraction. You stop believing every negative thought that asks for your attention. Instead, you become intentional. You choose what deserves your focus. You choose what deserves your energy. And little by little, your life begins reflecting those choices. Perhaps this is the greatest lesson behind the idea of the quantum illusion. Not that the universe is playing tricks on you. Not that reality is fake. But that your experience of reality is deeply influenced by where you place your attention, the beliefs you practice, and the choices you make every day. The illusion was never meant to frighten you. It was meant to wake you up. So the next time your mind says, "You can't," pause for a moment. Ask where that voice came from. Ask whether it speaks from today's reality or yesterday's memory. That single pause may become the moment your future quietly changes direction. Because every transformation begins with one decision, the decision to see clearly. And now that you have seen the illusion, the question is no longer whether it exists. The real question is what you will choose to believe from this moment forward. Everything that happens next begins with that choice.